3-minute time limit just because it helps keep our meeting running smoothly. Thank you, Anastasia.
Thank you for your time tonight. I'm here to speak in obvious fashion regarding what happened 2 weeks ago with some Cienega math teachers. It was a violation of trust, violation of honor in the school district, and as well as a violation of Arizona state law, specifically statute 15-203 on teacher certification and duties, which mandates that certified educators model appropriate behavior and avoid actions that promote harm or insensitivity. The Vail School District Governing Board policy has always had a policy regarding costumes and things worn during Halloween. I know because my son was here for a very long time. We used to get these emails every year. Prohibited attire and grooming, depicting or advocating violence, criminal activity, gang-related activity, use of alcohol, vaping, tobacco, or drugs, pornography, or hate speech are prohibited. It includes images, symbols, messages, or designs showing weapons, blood or gore, death, wounds, or any implication of harm or violence. To say that I was mortified at all the pictures and the notes that I was receiving on my phone the next morning on Saturday, November 1st, made me sick to see yet again that this school district was allowing such a thing to happen on its campus. Regardless of what anyone says, whether they think it's political or not, is irrelevant to me personally. Other people have their own thoughts. But coming on the heels, just coincidentally, of an assassination of a very popular leader in this country, and having shirts worn like that, all of them wearing the shirts, not just one or two, but every one of them, was inexcusable and unwarranted. I had to actually look it up to make sure that it was actually happening, and it was. To say that the community was insulted by numerous comments from this board, specifically Mr. Chris King, and even you, John Caruth, insulting the intelligence of this community, saying that it's a lesson learned. This lesson has not been learned. Not by this board, not by the district teachers that committed this atrocity. To say that they all need to apologize is just an understatement. I think there needs to be firings at worst, suspensions at best, and I think the people that put those images out there for public consumption that started this forest fire also need to be dealt with.
Thank you, Anastasia. Next, we have Patty Martin, and after Patty, we'll have Corey Williams.
Hi, I'm Patty, a mom, a taxpayer in the community, and the chair of Turning Point Action, Pima County Moms Coalition. Halloween 2025, a group of math teachers wore a costume to Cienega High School in Vail, Arizona. The blood-soaked shirt said, "Problem solved. Your district is already contending with a damaged reputation from the events of 2021. I'm sure no one wishes to add to another incident to that record. There are teachers and staff in the district that are afraid to speak up regarding this issue." A local news channel tracked nearly 6 million views of the story, all people were asking what in a school needs to be resolved by bloodshed. The viewers stated that this is poor taste, poor judgment, and poor timing. Wearing a blood-soaked shirt saying "problem solved," whether last year, this year, or any year, is never the right time to convey a message to impressionable students that bloodshed is the way to solve problems. This is not a clever play on words. It's very disturbing and disgusting. To try to excuse wearing this for 2 years in a row and attempt to convince everyone that it was therefore acceptable is to think that we are foolish. Come on, you all know that you can't lie to a mama bear. In the last 7 years, there has been 1,413 individuals injured or lost their lives in school shootings. Compared to the prior 48 years, at 1,780. There are many dedicated and compassionate teachers and staff in the Vail School District. We are all a village who love and care for our students. We must do better and return to promoting reasonable discussions without resorting to violent language. The Vail School District dress code has already been addressed. For a small group within the district to dismiss the issues of wearing a violent shirt such as this shows a disregard for how the community perceives the issue and the imagery of promoting violence. This is especially concerning given the current raw emotions of a very public execution that sent shockwaves around the world, with roughly 121 million people mourning and watching the memorial service. To suggest that this event was not on anyone's mind, frankly, is gaslighting. Moving forward, we, as concerned mama bears, hope and pray that the Vail School District rectifies the situation. Perhaps a statement expressing genuine regret without excuses, or even a shirt burning event shared on social media. The eyes of the nation is watching for you guys to take action.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. I do want to follow up with you. The email address, I can't read the last few,
redlabs@gmail.
Red Labs. Okay. Thank you. All right, we have Corey Williams next, and then Rachel Keschel next after her.
Hi there, I am Corey Williams. I am the chair of Turning Point Action's Mom Coalition Santa Cruz. I echo the sentiment of all the previous speakers. To say the least, waking up Saturday to the image of the math teachers was quite shocking, as I said, to say the least. I showed the image to my husband, who is a retired law enforcement. I did not preface the image, nor did I give him any background information. My husband is a pragmatic person, to say the least. In his training, in his 25 years of law enforcement, is trained to think quite objectively about things. I showed him the image and I said, "What do you think of this photo?" He said, "I think these people are mocking Charlie Kirk's assassination." Nothing else was said beyond that. I then sent that image up my chain of command because that's what I am trained to do as well. This shirt is iconic. It is iconic because my boss, this was the last shirt he was wearing. Children, high school students, they have access to social media, all forms of social media. My boss was assassinated on TikTok. He was assassinated on Facebook. He was assassinated on all forms of social media. High school students watched that assassination. He was wearing this shirt when he was assassinated. You would have to be some kind of person living under a rock to not be able to associate this shirt to the shirts that those math teachers were wearing. And to say that just because they did it 2 years in a row, two wrongs do not make one right. The math is not mathing. What they did was inexcusable. And our job as parents, as educators, is to protect the minds of our children, not to present our ideologies, to present our opinions, to present anything less than education. Halloween costumes should not be presented in this manner. We scrutinize our children's dress code all year long. That's what we do as educators. These teachers should have been scrutinized for their costumes.
Thank you, Corey. Next is Rachel Keschel, and after Rachel, we have Matt Ricca, I think. I apologize if I mispronounced your name.
Hello, board. My name is Rachel Ketchel. I am a prior Vail parent, potentially future Vail parent, we'll see, and a current state representative for many of your parents and teachers in the Vail district. I'm not going to focus a lot on the Charlie Kirk portion of this. What I'm going to focus on is a lack of transparency and a lack of ownership right from the beginning that I think would have been very helpful to let this blow over a lot more quickly than it did. It's my job as the representative of many of your parents and teachers to represent them, and that is what I did. I do want to say I appreciate Mr. Caruth taking a phone call from me. I did share with him that there were some just questions about the screenshot that Chris King shared online, and asked simply for real proof with a timestamp photo, which I am still waiting on. And the reason that I was pushing so hard on that, I really did want to go out and clear the air for everybody involved. Now, aside from Charlie Kirk, I did have many parents call me, and the concern was more of the condoning of murder and potentially even suicide. Two of my high school students who are now adults, but when they were in high school, were at Micah Mountain when one of their classmates jumped off the bleachers and committed suicide. And unfortunately, many of the parents said the same to me, that those shirts, not only did they seem to promote potentially murder to solve a problem, that teen suicide, which is actually very high in the Vail School District, that it also potentially kind of triggered them with that. So that was a problem. And one of the other things that I want to mention, aside from all of this that's concerning to me, I've had numerous teachers, current and prior teachers and parents tell me that some of what, as I shared with Mr. Caruth, some took as a cover-up with just not a lot of transparency in this situation, seems to be something that occurs often in their opinion. So if we can keep the dialogue open on that, I would be more than happy to do that, Mr. Caruth, on some of the current concerns where some teachers feel that they're being gagged when they speak out. There's been very concerning things regarding even the abuse of students that was covered up. And so I would hope you as a board would be open to talking to me more about that. But I really do want to set the record straight. I did finally have a parent reach out to me without calling me horrible names, and we had a really good conversation about the photo. She gave me very good evidence that it was indeed taken last year. So I want to say that here on the record, but I think there are many more issues to work on past this. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Matt, Rika, and then Monique Kleindust is next.
All right, I never know how to space myself from microphones. It's okay?
Perfect.
Okay, perfect. It's tiring how much politics is coming into the schools, and I say that as an educator. Worked for Vail for 8 years, still in education, remote with the district in Idaho. And it's maddening how people can bring politics into education every turn. So when I first heard about everything going on with Cienega High School and the Halloween costume incident, my first thought was, good God, how's this going to be construed? And then, everything played out the way it did. And I found myself getting frustrated as an educator because, reading the comments on, I'm not a Facebook person, my wife is, but I was looking over her shoulder, she had this very straight face, she was looking through these comments, and it was just, hate. And I felt that, not that it was directed at me, but just kind of as a member of that community, thinking, here's yet another attack on educators. What happened to the days when educators were held in regard as, arbiters of the future, the people who were going to raise the next generation, keep the world light, make sure that we had a good world to, roll in and whatnot. So it's maddening. And it's disheartening to hear so many people that are still on this and still calling for heads to roll. What is there to gain from having 8 teachers, an entire math department in a school fired? What lesson does that send? As educators, we're all about people learning from mistakes. We do the same for kids, we should do the same for adults. Kids, we have a talk with them, we expect better. Adults, it's no different. Or something like that, but we expect better. We give second chances. Where are the second chances for everyone involved in this? Is what I want to say broadly to the community. And you've given that to these teachers, and I applaud you. And I was worried a couple of weeks ago or last week that I was going to be coming up here saying don't fire. And I'm glad to hear, I'm glad to see that you've had their backs throughout this whole process. So I applaud you for that. And everybody who has provided support at Cienega for those teachers and for the students. The community has come together, and it feels good. There's just a lot of good news out there these days, it feels like. So yeah, so I'm glad to see that. There was a quote in a statement that was put out there that said, oh, what was it? The state like Arizona, where we champion free speech but hold sacred the principles of civility and safety. And it's had to ask, where is that from the people that are speaking the loudest about accountability and whatnot? So that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Monique is next, and then our last is Anthony Dunham.
This is making me very nervous, y'all. Please bear with me. Hello, my name is Monique Kleindiff. I would like to speak about the Halloween photo. There were several incidents, I feel. There was the photo, there was the sharing of that photo by the district, and then there was the district's response to the outrage that it caused. Charlie Kirk could have been my son. Like my daughter, a recent Andrada grad, he was articulate, bold, loving, and full of promise, but he was cut down, and his mourners ridiculed. So yes, I had a very visceral reaction to that photo at 5 o'clock Saturday morning. I wanted answers. The answer I received was the deletion of the photo as if it had never existed, and then a poorly phrased attempt at gaslighting. It was this that prompted me to share the incident across the state, like JT Harris and KDOA, my dad and Kingman. From there, as the internet does, it went out into verse. Calls for doxing, firing, or killing are abhorrent to me and to the people I associate with. Believe me though, the right wing takes very seriously these days the threat of violence, and I understand why y'all are so cautious. With your assurance that these shirts will no longer represent the Vail School District, I feel that my petition has been seen, that my voice has been heard, and I thank you for your time. Y'all did great.
Thank you, Monique. I know it's hard to come and speak, so I appreciate you coming. Our last speaker is Anthony Dunham.
Good evening, Superintendent Karoth, board members, President Pratt, parents here. Thank you for your time this evening. I, as all of the previous speakers, would like to speak on the Halloween picture that went out on the 31st. I'd like to open by talking about a statement that every student in the Vail School District is familiar with. I'm a parent of 3 students in this district, and that is the ACT statement. Y'all could probably say it with me. So let's go over the ACT statement for a minute. Well, let's start with something first. The book of James out of scripture tells us that whoever knows to do the right thing and fails to do it, for him it is sin. While I recognize that not everyone here today is a believer in Jesus or the Bible, I bring this verse up because it highlights the district's philosophy of the ACT statement and of James, the half-brother of Jesus. And that philosophy starts with, are respectful and trustworthy. Did you catch that right off the beginning? Trustworthy? When the district puts out a statement denying any involvement in the assassination of these brave women's boss, and the gentleman that I sat down with a week ago, who's Turning Point Action's regional director here, and they're still reeling from the assassination of their boss, and you guys say, we don't see the connection, and immediately begin gaslighting the public, I would say that you failed the first point of something you drill into our students each and every day. Our elementary school students can sing it in a song because it's so drilled into them that we act, we act, we act. Yet the board and the superintendents of this school can't even hold themselves to the same standard. So the question I ask, is it rules for the collective me and not thee? Is it a do as we say and not as we do? The second part of the act statement is we care. We care about each other. Did wearing those shirts on Halloween really show that you care? I certainly don't think so. The last part, though, is the one I can't wait to get to, the T. This is the best part. It's my favorite one. Take responsibility. This is something that as parents and as educators is drilled into our kids. Take responsibility. The two schools that my three kids are in, two at one elementary school and one at the high school in this district, every time I get a call from a teacher or an administrator, the first thing I tell them is, I'm a parent that holds my kids accountable. My kids are not perfect. Tell me what happened. If this board can't hold themselves accountable and is not willing to take responsibility for their actions, how can they insist that this statement be drilled into our students? On the 31st of October, not only did that shirt go out, but substitute teacher Jordan Cho was offered a full-time position. 3 days later, on the 3rd of October, she went on Garrett Lewis's show. In the following days, she was sent a letter of termination from the Assistant Superintendent of Administration. I am therefore asking that this board, the Assistant Superintendent of Administration, and Superintendent Carell take responsibility for your actions and immediately resign from your positions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dunham. Pursuant to open meeting laws, we can respond to criticism. Mr. Kirk, would you like to respond, make any kind of clarifying statement?
Sure. First and foremost, I want to say to all who saw that image.
Excuse me, could you speak into the microphone? I can't hear you.
Certainly.
I'm sorry.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
A little better, thank you.
John or Micah, help me out. To all who saw that shirt and saw Charlie Kirk, I am sorry, truly sorry. Just leave it at that. I think the rest of it is well documented. I don't want to go back over all of that. Other than to say two things can be true. And people can see that image and know that and that is what the perception is. It is also true that good people could have worn that shirt, did wear that shirt, and that was absolutely not their intent. And that's the summary of the story. And obviously, in hindsight, everyone feels horrible about that. I want to clarify a couple of things. There was a lot of questioning about the validity of those and so on. We have clear evidence and public record of email chains, which are public record, have to be kept. They go back to October 30th, October 31st, 2024, that include the image of teachers wearing those shirts. They were wearing those shirts then, as they did this year, in their minds, and relating to math problems and in support of a student-sponsored zombie run after school. Not making any further statement or judgment around that, but that's what that was about. And as for the last issue brought up around Mrs. Ochoa, I can get into more of that if that item is on the regular agenda. Happy to talk more about that. Other than to say, if it doesn't get pulled, Mrs. Ochoa, for a very short period of time in 2023, was a paraprofessional educator, supporting students in special education. In December of 23, she moved into sub status. She subbed for a very short period of time from December 23 to March of 24. And all substitutes who are inactive for a period of 6 months or more are moved to resign due to inactivity. And that's all dated in a memo from October 21st of this year. In regards to that practice, it's something. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Kruth. We'll move on to our next item, which is acknowledgement of public requests to speak. This is the opportunity for the public to talk about items on tonight's agenda. At this time, I do not have any requests. Is there anybody here wishing to speak to the board tonight on items on tonight's agenda? Not seeing any